It is a July morning, and you are walking out to your garden with your coffee. You started those squash plants from seed back in April, and you watered them through the dry spell in June. And this morning, the leaves look like old lace curtains. Little striped beetles are working up and down the bean rows. Something chewed the tomatoes in the night and never left a footprint. So you drive into town, and you buy the can of spray, and for about 2 weeks the spray works. Then the bugs come back. They come back worse than before, the bill comes back with them, and nobody at that store ever explains why. But my daddy, that is my grandfather, never sprayed a drop in his life, and his garden got cleaner every summer instead of worse. I have gardened the same way here in Holmes County, Ohio, all my life, and I have never bought one can of bug spray. So stay with me to the end, because Dottie's secret was one particular thing he left standing along the garden fence every single winter. Tidy gardeners tear that thing out the first chance they get, and it is the whole reason the pest quit his garden and stayed gone for the next 50 years. I'm Elias Miller. I'm 58 years old, I'm Old Order Amish, and I was born and raised right here in Holmes County, Ohio, the largest Amish settlement in the world. My daddy raised me in the garden, and my mom, my mother, raised me in the kitchen. Emma and I fed 7 children and 19 grandchildren out of these rows, and we never once carried debt doing it. Our son Mose runs the dairy now, so the garden, the shop, and the bees are mine to keep. So why did the beetles come back 2 weeks after you sprayed and come back worse than ever? Walk down to the hardware store, and a can of garden spray runs $15, $18, $20. A serious gardener can empty 3 or 4 of those cans in a summer, every summer, for the rest of his gardening days. That is real money walking out the door every June. And the strange part is that the spraying gardens never get ahead. The same yards buy the same cans every single year, and the reason is that the spray kills everything it touches, and everything is exactly the problem. A garden is never only squash bugs and bean beetles. A garden is full of hunters too. Ladybugs and lacewings, little black ground beetles that work the night shift, spiders strung between the squash leaves, and tiny wasps that never bother a soul but do terrible work on a caterpillar. When the spray comes down, it takes the hunters right along with the pests. And I will come back to why that one fact decides everything, because it is the heart of what my daddy knew, and it is the part nobody selling spray will ever say out loud. For now, just hold on to the arithmetic. The pests lay eggs by the hundreds, and they come back in days. The hunters come back slow, or they never come back at all. So every can you empty clears the field for the next wave of pests and for the next can. Emma calls that buying the same problem twice. There was never any profit in teaching a man to grow a garden that guards itself, but there is steady profit in a can he has to keep buying. Now, everything I am showing you today is one page out of a manual Emma and I put together called Save $7,000 a Year, the Amish Country Manual, because nobody ever got rich teaching folks how to keep their money, so we wrote it down ourselves. It is the plain country manual of the old methods our families have run for generations: the heat, the water, the pantry, the garden, and the quiet thrift habits underneath it all, written out step by step with the materials and the dollar amounts, so a regular family can trim the bills by up to $7,000 a year. You don't have to become Amish. You just have to keep your money like one. It is $17 right now, marked down from $47, and $17 is about the price of one can of spray. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up. Give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, friends, let's get back down in the dirt, because the first piece of Dyadi's system starts underneath your boots. Number 1. Feed the soil before you ever worry about a single bug. My daddy used to say a hungry plant rings the dinner bell, and he was not being poetic. A plant coming up out of worn-out dirt grows weak and slow, and the pests find the weak ones first, the same way a fox finds the lame hen. So every fall, the garden gets a blanket. 2 inches of rotted barn manure or finished compost spread right over the beds. That is 2 inches, no more, left to settle in under the snow and worked in come spring. Plants growing out of that ground move fast enough to outrun the chewing. A squash plant in strong soil can lose 1/3 of its leaves to beetles and still hand you a bushel by September. That same plant in tired dirt gives up over 1 bad week. If you keep no animals, there is no shame in it. Bagged compost from the garden center or a load from a neighbor's pile does the same work. Emma says the garden runs on the same rule as her kitchen. You cannot pour from an empty jar. So that is the floor under everything else. Strong dirt and strong plants, and pests that never quite get ahead of the growing. But strong plants alone will not save you, because every bug out there keeps a calendar, and they all know your address. Number 2, never plant the same crop family in the same ground 2 years running. That is 2 full years before a crop comes back to the same bed, and the reason lives right under your boots. Squash bugs tuck into the litter of the squash bed and sleep the winter right where the squash grew. Potato beetles dig into the soil under the old potato row and wait. Plant the same crop in the same spot, and you have set the breakfast table directly over their beds. So the old gardens walked. Corn ground got beans the next year. Bean ground got cabbage. Cabbage ground got potatoes, and around she went. Come April, the beetle wakes up right where dinner used to be, and dinner has moved 40 feet across the garden. A crawling bug out on 40 feet of open dirt is a bird's breakfast long before it ever finds your rows. Draw your garden on a piece of paper every spring and keep the papers in a drawer. That is the entire system, 1 drawing a year. My daddy kept 30 years of those garden maps, and he could tell you what grew in any bed clear back to the year he was married. 2 years away at the least, and 3 years is better for potatoes. Now the rotation starves the sleepers underground, but there is also a way to fool the ones that fly in from outside, and it works on their noses. Number 3, stop planting like a store shelf. A commercial field is 1 crop in straight rows to the horizon, and that is exactly why a commercial field can never stop spraying. A solid 1/4 acre of nothing but cabbage is a lit-up sign that says all you can eat. Bugs find their crop by smell, and 1 big block of one smell is easy finding. So we mix the rows, the way my mom's garden always looked, a little of everything tangled together on purpose. Onions get tucked in among the carrots, because the onion smell lies over the carrot smell, and the carrot fly sails right on past. Marigolds go in at the end of every bed, and their roots chase off the little root worms you never see until harvest. Emma plants nasturtiums along the garden edge as a decoy, because aphids love nasturtiums more than they love beans. So the aphids pile onto the decoy, and the beans stand clean. And dill and sweet alyssum get a corner of their own, because those small flowers feed the hunters we talked about, the ladybugs and the tiny harmless wasps that clean the caterpillars off your cabbage while you sleep. Not one of those seed packets costs more than $2. $2 one time against $15 cans every summer. And hold on to that thought about feeding the hunters, because it walks straight toward the thing Dottie left standing at the fence line. We are getting close. First, though, the calendar trick, because half your pest trouble can be dodged before 1 seed is even in the ground. Number 4, plant around the bug's calendar instead of your own. Every pest has its few weeks, and the old folks knew those weeks the way you know your own birthday. Take the squash vine borer, the biggest heartbreaker in the garden. That little moth flies in early summer, lays her eggs at the base of young squash stems, and the whole plant wilts over dead in July with no warning at all. My daddy never fought her, he dodged her. He put in a second planting of squash seed at the start of July, after her flying weeks were finished, and those late plants grew up with nothing hunting them. The same thinking works on beans. Get beans in early, and you are picking before the bean beetles ever build their numbers in the August heat. There is no fight at all that way. You simply decline to show up for it. Now, those dates are local, so find the oldest gardener at your farmer's market, ask when the borer flies in your county, and write the answer down. That one conversation can save you an entire summer of squash. Number 5, the morning patrol. This one costs nothing but 10 minutes, and it does more than anything on any store shelf. Every morning while your coffee is still hot, walk your rows one time. Go slow. Early morning is the whole trick because beetles are cold-blooded, and in the cool of the day they sit still on the leaves, too sluggish to fly off. Carry a quart jar with warm water and a good squirt of dish soap in it. That is 1 quart of water, 1 squirt of soap. Hold the jar under the leaf. Tap the leaf once. The beetles drop straight into the jar, and the soap takes them under. There is no chasing and no squishing. Then turn over a leaf here and there and look underneath. If you see a little cluster of orange or copper-colored eggs, packed together like tiny kernels of corn, wipe it away with your thumb. Every cluster you wipe in June is 100 beetles that never happen in July. When I was a boy, my daddy paid a penny for every 10 striped beetles we carried to him in the jar, and a pocket of pennies kept us kids sweeping that garden cleaner than any spray ever has. On a bad morning, it cost him a quarter. So that is the patrol. 10 minutes, 1 soapy quart jar, tap the beetles in, wipe the eggs off, and take your time out there. There is no rush in it, and there are men paying good money for far worse ways to start a morning. Number 6, put the wild help on the payroll and pay them in housing. One wren family raising chicks will carry hundreds of caterpillars and beetles out of a garden every single week, all season long. So my daddy kept simple wooden birdhouses along the fence posts, and the wrens ran the day shift free of charge. Keep the entry hole small, because small keeps the bully birds out and the bug eaters in. Set a shallow pan of water down at ground level, and the toads will come, and one fat toad under the squash leaves eats slugs and cutworms all night, every night, from May to frost. And if your place allows a few hens, better still. Emma turns our hens into the garden for 1 hour in the evening, early in the spring, and again after the harvest, and they scratch out the grubs and the sleeping squash bugs before those ever see their spring. Never during the growing season, mind you, or the hens will take your lettuce right along with your bugs. 1 hour, spring and fall, that is all. So you have birds on the day shift, toads on the night shift, and hens twice a year, a security patrol that never once sends a bill. And every one of those helpers is about to matter even more, because we have finally come to the fence line, and to the one thing my daddy would never let anybody clean up. So here is what my daddy left standing, and here is why the pests never got ahead of him again. Along the north fence of his garden, he kept a strip of ground that never got cleaned up. About 3 feet wide, that is all. 3 feet running the length of the fence. Goldenrod, asters, yarrow, a few old sunflower stalks, thick grass, and every dead stem left standing all winter long. The neighbors called it untidy. It was the barracks. Every hunter we have talked about today, the ladybugs, the lacewings, the ground beetles, the spiders, the tiny wasps, every one of them has to live somewhere through an Ohio winter. They cannot do it in a bed you have raked down to bare dirt. They winter inside those hollow dead stems, and under that thick grass, and down in the leaf litter of that one wild strip. So when the pests wake up hungry in your beds each spring, the army wakes up 30 feet away, already home and already hungry too. And now the whole picture comes together. The spray can fail because every pass of it kills your army and hands the enemy a clean field, and the enemy breeds back 100 times faster than the army does. The secret was never zero bugs. It was the right bugs in the right place with a warm place to sleep. So here is your fall routine, plain. Clean your vegetable beds hard, because the beds are where the pests winter. Pull the spent squash vines and the old potato tops and burn them or hot compost them. Then leave the strip alone. Let it stand shaggy all winter and let the neighbors wonder. My Dayati called that strip his hired men. He never paid them a dime, and my bees work that same fence line to this day. And that is money that stays in your pocket every summer from now on. A 3-foot strip of standing flowers costs nothing, and it replaces every can on that store shelf. The Amish Country Manual is full of pages that work just like this one, written out plain, with the materials and the dollar amounts. $17 right now, marked down from $47, and it is a book you buy once and hand down. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up. Give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So next July, you will walk out with that same cup of coffee, and the leaves will be whole, because you fed the soil, moved the crops, mixed the rows, dodged the calendar, walked the morning patrol, hired the birds, and left the fence line standing. Now tell me in the comments, did your grandparents keep a garden this way too? I'd surely like to hear it. I read every single one. And next time, I'm going to show you how Emma keeps garden tomatoes good to eat clear into January with no freezer and no canning jars, and her trick starts with picking them at the wrong time on purpose. The old ways still work, friends. Use them well, and God keep you till next time.